All right, good morning, everybody. It is Sunday. Probably a lot of folks getting to their destination for Memorial Day. We got a lot to talk about. Not the ideal weather setup for Memorial Day, I would imagine, especially if you got outdoor activities. But we're going to try to find you a window where maybe you can take advantage of being outside. So we will have storms around really for the next several days. Some of them could be strong. Understand when you have this setup, a huge supply of tropical air, daytime heating. I mean that's what you need to get thunderstorms, and they occasionally pulse up. So it's nothing to be really too concerned of as far as out of the ordinary. It's not a washout. There's going to be an afternoon focus on the rain for the most part. And this pattern is going to continue for several days, it looks like. So big picture here, it's about 6:30, 7 o'clock this morning. And again, you see that surface boundary there showing a stalled front. Basically what we have is a very widespread area of rich tropical air. And what we're getting is these upper level short waves that are just shooting out from the Rockies, and they're going to cause, rain, thunderstorms across the southern half of the country, and that's going to continue here. We're quiet this morning across the state of Alabama. There's just not a whole lot happening. A lot of this, again, the fuel is the daytime heating. The moisture's in place, and between the daytime heating and these little waves aloft, that's where we're going to get our good rain coverage. So for the time being, a lot of spots, soaking heavy rain. I know I got a good bit at my house last night, but all of it came after 8 p.m. And today we're probably looking at a window here before we have any rainfall. We got 70s in the Wiregrass, mid 60s elsewhere, low 60s in the Tennessee Valley. And highs today very much tied to the rain. There's the potential that we get into the 90s in southern Alabama before the rain gets here. Notice the cooler temperatures, relatively speaking, to the north. Well, that's probably because we're going to see rain arrive a little bit sooner in some of those spots, like Birmingham, perhaps Hamilton, Gadsden. It's not uniform, and temperatures could easily get into the upper 80s. And again tonight, upper 60s, a few lower 70s. And for Memorial Day, again, our highs are very much tied to when and where we see the rain, but anywhere has the potential to reach the middle 80s, even upper 80s, and we'll have the 90s in the Wiregrass. Okay, so let's talk about the severe threat here today. This is a classic setup where you've got a short wave. Okay, so what this is depicting is a ripple in the atmosphere. We're going to see a line of thunderstorms initially form over the Texas Panhandle, and it's just going to. Have you ever thrown a rock into a lake or tossed a pebble? That ripple effect. We look at the atmosphere like a fluid, so that ripple is going to keep going all the way till it gets into a less favorable environment, and that's going to roll into parts of Alabama later on today. So here's the Alabama outlook with that in mind. And again, a slight risk, 2 out of 5 for gusty winds and hail. That'll be the northern half of the state. So essentially, if you're north of a line from Demopolis, Montgomery, Auburn, the threat is there, but the focus is going to be on what's probably going to be a squall line here across the northern half of the state later on this evening. And then Memorial Day, and again, I said this at the beginning, a marginal risk can almost be issued any day that we've got convective activity and a lot of tropical air energy in place. And we will have just that continued southwesterly flow aloft. I mean, that's just going to pump in rich tropical air from the Gulf, and that's going to continue to feed, showers, thunderstorms all across the state on Monday. So let's get into kind of the why. This is the look at the upper pattern here. This is later on today at 3 o'clock. And I'll draw your attention to these little. You'll see these as I draw this forward. See these little short waves here where there's this contouring of winds. Those are the little ripples that perturbations, as we call them, as they move off to the east. And you can see pretty well depicted here. In fact, this is a good example. Here's one right there. Short wave. It's a short wave in the atmosphere compared to these longer waves associated with the jet stream. So that's what we look for in weather. We're looking for these little ripples, these disturbances that can really tap into this energy that's in place. This is Monday at about 3 o'clock, and you can see where that short wave is depicted. Again, there's 3. Here's the short wave, and you typically have most of the rain and storms out ahead of the short wave. So let's go ahead to Tuesday afternoon about the same time. Same deal. We've got these little short waves moving through the atmosphere, and we stay in this kind of ridged pattern. The actual upper level jet is well to the north and plays really no role in our forecast. And as we move through the end of the week, there's just not really a big change in our overall setup here. We stay pretty consistently in the same mess of a setup through the duration of this forecast. So I want to jump now to some of our higher resolution modeling, and this is the HER. So we call this the high resolution rapid refresh. Oh, we get these every hour, but I've grabbed the early morning run because this one's going to go out to include Memorial Day. So this is later this morning, 10 o'clock on Sunday. What are we looking at? Shortwave, okay? This will again fan out to the south and east, and I think what we'll end up seeing is a more intense, sorry, my modeling here is acting up just a little bit, but a potentially more intense line of storms coming through here in the afternoon. So this is later on 10 o'clock. So this particular run is showing storms coming in later this evening. So this is at 10 o'clock. I'll try to back this up smoothly here to, say, mid-afternoon. So this is at about 4 o'clock. It's got most of the rain depicted to the north of here. So will we get periods where we're dry? Yeah, I certainly think so. And this afternoon, there's going to be isolated showers, thunderstorms during the day. But I think the more organized rain and thunderstorms will probably be here in the evening. A lot of the short-term models, that's kind of what we're calling for. And so I would not be surprised, though, if what comes through with this evening batch does have a little kick to it. And, the biggest thing with these, perhaps some gusty winds. And hail's included in there. I think this is more of a gusty wind threat. And if we even see that, it will be very isolated areas along the line where that'll be a threat. Okay, so let's go to your Memorial Day forecast. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning, so about 24 hours from now. Memorial Day itself, we're going to have a window. And I said this on Friday, and I kind of maintain this. I've seen enough of the model runs. We're going to have a window till probably about 10, 11 o'clock, call it even noon for some spots, where we don't have any rain. If you're at the lake, if you're, even folks down along the beach for the most part, I mean, we've got a pretty good window here where it's not going to be stormy. However, when the storms ultimately do get here, they're going to pack a bit of a punch potentially because we're going to have more daytime heating. So if we don't see the rain early, which it looks like both today, Sunday, and tomorrow, Memorial Day, Monday, we're going to have a decent window the first half of the day where you could probably be outside. Now keep in mind, isolated thunderstorms are always possible, especially in this really soupy atmosphere. And we'll likely maintain that as a possibility. So we will see unsettled weather again for the next several days. This is a look at the Weather Prediction Center's 7-day rainfall total, and this is certainly not exact. But what this tells me is basically most of northern Alabama is probably going to see 2 to 3 inches, and we're going to see probably more than that in a few spots. Because as we know, convection is not evenly distributed. It can rain very, very hard at your house, and then your uncle up the road, he's left without rain. Or, you get multiple rounds of rain in one day, each afternoon. It's just not going to be evenly spread like a product like this shows. This just tells us, okay, where's going to be the focal point for some of the heavier rainfall? And I do believe that we're going to see the potential of 2 to 3 inches. That makes sense to me across the, a good chunk of the state. The reason that the wiregrass and coastal locations are lesser so is most of the energy with these short waves is going to be north of the coastline, right? So if you're at the beach this next week, yes, we're going to have the chance of rain. But it's certainly not a washout, and I would certainly think that there's going to be spots that maybe have no rain over the next several days. So that's kind of what we're looking at here in a nutshell with this forecast. Drop your questions below if you have them. I hope everybody has a safe and a wonderful Memorial Day. We are, again, going to probably see some changes to this forecast. I would not be surprised, if it, tomorrow morning when I share something, it's a little bit different. But summary, I think Sunday afternoon, evening, Monday afternoon, evening, here in that 48-hour window, I would look for the evening to be the focus of the rain and storm. So, again, have a safe Sunday, whether you're headed to church, heading out with the family, whatever you might be doing if you're traveling. Be safe, and we'll see you Monday morning. Have a great day.